was our first foray into electric vehicles. Did we make the right choice? Are we still happy with it? And how's it going? What do we like? What we're not so sure about? Let's find out. The interior of the ID5 is a very stylish and comfortable place to be. It's a very minimalist approach, and I do liken this to the original roots of Volkswagens that had very simple operating tools and features, just in a modern day form. Although I do feel they've taken some aspects of this a little too far, and I'll explain what those are. Now, you'll see down by my feet here, this is like an automatic setup in these electric vehicles. I do like the play and stop, pause features that are on the pedals. That's kind of cute. But in order for me to activate anything here, I do need to put my foot on the brake. Now that, you'll see, starts to bring everything to life. So you're always greeted by this welcome, and what I then get is my Apple CarPlay comes up as the apps that are connected. As for everything else, you'll see it's through these little haptic touch features, so the volume control here, up and down, my heating for my side, the passenger side are through these little haptic controls. If I want to go to the heated seats, heated steering wheel, the temperature if you like, the fan speeds, I do need to go through this feature here that then brings up. Now I do find that frustrating, that in order for me to get to some of this you do have to go through other buttons. But what I have got here then is the fan speed, you've got the temperature for each side, front and rear. In order to come back out of that again, I do have to exit. If I go to this button, it takes me through all my features in my Apple CarPlay, or I can have them in the multi-view. Now, this is where you have to go back. You have to use this little square, you then have to tap the buttons. That then brings up all the additional features around the use of the radio that's built in, the navigation with the vehicle controls itself, the charging features, they're all hidden. So you do have to go through a series of taps here. It is the only frustration. Now, I know some owners of the IDs have found that they have big issues with the screen. I've only had two. I've had the screen black out once, and we've had an issue of connectivity between the two vehicles as we are, sorry, not the two vehicles, the two users, as we are switching between our two phones depending on who's driving the vehicle. As for the heads-up display then, this is where you get all the information about your speed, your range, your kilowatt hours per mile, what drive mode you are in. You get your advanced warnings here, distance control. This is where a lot of the cruise control features show as you are driving along. I do like this little screen, it's quite intuitive and clear to use. And in order to start the vehicle, I use this little turn function here, and this basically puts it into drive. It puts it into B, which is the reactive drive, or I can put it into neutral and reverse from this point as well. Park is on the end. So those features are quite intuitive. I've quite liked those. The little haptic-y panels here on the steering wheel, whilst this is a very nice steering wheel, it's very comfortable, it's very chunky. You've got the cruise control stuff here, which I do use quite often because I do a lot of motorway driving. They're fairly intuitive. I do find sometimes the volume controls and the voice controls on this side a little bit temperamental, linked in with that center console and the heads-up display, if you like. So I tend to sometimes just use the volume controls that are here. It kind of makes sense as a slider. But all in all, it is a comfortable place to be in this front of the vehicle. This cup holder at the front here is also where you can put your keys. It likes them there for the recognition with the vehicle, but you do get 2 cup holders, and you do get this sliding element here where there are 2 further cup holders and there's space for you to keep your bits and pieces. I do like the captain's chair style, and it's a very spacious front cabin. This one did come with a built-in port for the dash cam, so this fit in here was already in the vehicle, so I just had to attach my dash cam, which is a next base, and then you've got the light reactive rear view mirror. Then there's just a few more controls up here if you need the lights on. Again, these are not physical buttons, these are just haptic press, and if you need breakdown or emergency assist when you're on the road. So that's the front. So as a driver, these seats are really comfortable. As I said in the introduction to this video, I've done 15,000 miles in this vehicle this year, and it is a comfortable place to be. Driving an EV is different to driving a combustion engine, petrol or diesel, and you do feel a difference. What I will say is it's quite responsive, so you put your foot down, it moves, that power comes down quite quickly, but it is a different driving sensation. Now, I'm used to driving automatics, I've driven them for years, so the functionality of just having the 2 pedals in effect was an easy transition. What I was initially worried about was the range anxiety. That lasted about a month, where I was worried about recharging and topping up just in case. But what I've learned is the mileage as it's coming down, the distance I have left is fairly accurate, and I've very rarely needed to panic fill, if you like, top up, recharge. Not fill, you're not filling anything, are you? You're just recharging the batteries. I still call it filling up. So I do tend to know what distance I do have left. I do fairly regular drives to certain places with work, which it means if I have taken a bit of a hit because I've had to drive in a different way on the motorway, or if it's been a particularly heavy rain, that does have an impact because of the rolling resistance. I know where chargers are, and it is on the odd occasion really. I think in a year of driving, particularly for work, I've probably had to do a top up on 10 or 11 occasions I've worked out, and I know I've had to do 2 big full chargers when I've been all the way to the east coast towards Skegness from where I am, and likewise when I've done the work trips up to Scarborough, where I've had a half a dozen of those trips where I've had to do a full charge in Scarborough to enable me to get back home. But again, once that's done, I'm capable of getting all the way back without the need for any panic charging on the way. So the back of the ID5 is quite spacious too. Generous leg room. That's with me as a 6-footer in the seat, quite a way back. The dogs are more than spoilt in the back of this. You do get the 3 seat belts. You do get this nice cup holder for when we've had passengers with us, and you do get this ski hatch arrangement as well that flaps all the way down. The controls, a bit like the front, they're haptic controlled, and you do get some additional USB points in the back here. They're USB-C, and there's a couple of those in the front for the driver as well. Headroom is fairly decent, and if you look back on my original video, you'll see that we do get a full panoramic roof that I've got closed at the moment. In terms of boot space then, this is a generous sized boot. in comparison to the ID4 that this is based on. Obviously that's got a much squarer back part here, so you get a taller capacity in that, but this has taken quite a bit of luggage and trips to the tip at different times. It is a split floor, so you get the flap here. So in here I've got my trickle charger, my granny charger, if I'm anywhere I need to plug into a 240 volt with a conventional plug. I've also got my charger for when I'm out on the road. And there is space at the back there as well for shopping bags and things, as well as bottle stores either side. So it's a good sized boot really in the vehicle. And this is the rear of it, which is quite a nice, smart looking car really. These lights are quite funky, and I do like the badging that's on the back. So we have 14 photovoltaic panels on our fully south facing roof. So this actually gives us a lot of energy through the day, particularly in the summer. That if I plug in the vehicle, it directly gives me some charging capacity, which I can track through the Omi and Octopus apps. So for us, having the solar panels has been an added benefit to the overall cost saving that we have had in running our vehicle. Now, we've not had to pay out any money for these panels. They came as part of the house on this development, as many of the houses on here have got, and that was one of the things that attracted us to this property, was that ability to harness that power going forward. So since I did the original video a year ago when we were selecting an EV, we now have the Omi charger installed, and this works well with our solar setup and being close to the front of the house here for us to charge both this ID5 and our electric Mini that we do have. So this is ideally placed. This came in at about £900 when we bought it installed, and that works with our Octopus Energy tariff, which I'll talk a little bit more about.